All right, welcome everybody to today's AdvisorTechBook live podcast with Rajesh of Flextract. I first want everyone just to get acquainted because this is a new platform. Literally, like they launched this feature 3 weeks ago or so. We struggled with our audio for a bit. So over on the right hand side in the bottom corner, you'll see the participants and then the chat bubble. If you guys can click the chat bubble and just let us know that you can hear and see us, okay? Cool. All right. The other thing I want to make sure you know about is the reactions. So, middle bottom of your screen, you'll have a little smiley face that says reactions. So you can click that, and then you can click a heart emoji or party emoji, or you can watch those go up the left side, which is kind of fun. Um, and then if you guys interact and want to hop on live with us, we might do that later. We'll see. All right. So getting started, this is the Advisor Book podcast. So I wanted to start with a couple questions. One is a tech that you've been trying out recently that you enjoy, and then maybe a book that you're reading, and maybe a quick thought from each of those.
Sure. Joe, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure. I know we have collaborated a bit in the past, and it's great to be on your podcast. And congratulations on launching the new podcast.
Thanks.
Yeah, so super excited to be the first guest on it. And yeah, books that I read recently. So I just got finished maybe a couple of weeks ago with a book about the differences between China and the US. It's called Breakneck, written by Dan Wang. The core thesis of his book is how the Chinese, at least the Chinese state, approaches approaches development from an engineer's lens. Like if you look at the Chinese leaders, lots of them are engineers and scientists and so forth. Whereas the United States thinks about it in a much more lawyerly way. If you look at Congress and like people who get elected here, it tends to be people who went to law school. So that's an interesting framing, and sort of he draws a through line from that to both the advantages and disadvantages of how both countries approach things. So I thought that was a very interesting book. In terms of learning, I'm just like super immersed in AI, as you can imagine. I obviously use it for work, and staying on top of it, staying on top of just the breakneck developments that are happening there, just keeps me super busy. So, just to give you an example, just yesterday, like last night, my co-founder Nick, found a new way to, measure and improve the accuracy of AI, and we were playing around with it and figuring out how to get that to as part of the product and so forth. So good fun stuff.
Yeah. No, it's just this space is moving at a crazy rate. I kind of took several months off to just kind of get the lay of the land and see what was going on. But I told Bob Veras I'd give his book a plug. So this is the 45-year behind the scenes history of the financial planning as a profession.
Oh,
This
that's
is
cool.
this is a monstrous book. I don't know if you can tell how thick it is. But something I thought was interesting is that Bob Veras self-published this book, and he used a site called bookbaby.com. Whereas, like for my book over here, I used Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. So when you self-publish, you can kind of keep a lot more of the royalties, I guess. So that's the benefit, but then you lose like the reach power of Amazon. So
Yeah.
anyway, his book's pretty cool. I'm about 30 pages into this giant chunk. And then for tech I've been enjoying, I'm giving you a sneak preview into next year. Slant is a new CRM out that is really slick. So I'm really enjoying that, and most likely will be my CRM pick for next year. All right, well let's get into it. The first thing is wondered if you could tell us a little bit about your background and then why you chose to build in the data gathering space?
Yeah, so my background has been in fintech for 25 years now. So I started my career at Yodlee. Many of you use it through directly or through one of the products that you're using. So I was early there. So I kind of know how the data aggregation sausage is made, if you may. Right through the screen scraping days to integrating the first APIs with the banks and so forth. So I was there. I was there from 2000 to 2007 at Yodlee. That was a great experience. After that, I co-founded a company doing onboarding, data gathering and onboarding for banks and credit unions. So we built software that banks and credit unions could use to open new accounts, originate new loans, bring new customers on board. So that journey was another 5-6 years. It went through an acquisition, and that was a great journey. So we grew that platform from essentially a cold start to being used by right now it's probably used by 150, 200 banks at this point in time, maybe even more, including some very large players in the space. And right before starting Flextract, I spent 5 years, a little over 5 years at Ellevest, which is a women-focused wealth management firm. And there we built both I ran technology and operations there. And we built both a robo-advice platform. That's where we started, essentially a direct-to-consumer robo-advice platform built initially on AUM fees and then moved to subscription-based fees, as well as a private wealth business. So it's sort of a barbell business. So you had the robo-advice platform for the mass market, mass affluent, and then for high net worth clients, we had the private wealth platform. And so it was really interesting. Obviously, as you can imagine, this was during the decade of fintech, if you may, like where all the direct-to-consumer fintech brands came out, and everybody was building like really nice sort of user experiences, sort of end-to-end user experiences that customers and clients were enjoying. If you're around in the early part of the century, like the 2000s, opening a bank account, opening a wealth management account, opening anything required you to go into the branch, fill out paper forms, and then sort of in the banking and sort of the mass market area, both on investment advice as well as on banking, we moved to a world where all of that stuff got pretty digitized. The company I founded was part of the movement as well. And then once mobile came out, everything worked on mobile. So you had from in the last decade, like a real push towards great user experiences, really streamlined experiences. Everybody knew all the numbers of how the onboarding and getting people on board went. But then when I looked at the private wealth side of the business, essentially I used to joke that we give the richest clients the worst possible digital experience. It's just like it is multiple systems. It is super clunky. For the client, it's like it takes a long time to gather everything, fill out questionnaires, get data in. And this is if you had digitized it, right? If you had an online form. In most cases, it was paper forms that you had to fill out, or like a fillable PDF that you need to go in. And then, once all this information came to the advisor or their teams essentially had to sit down and spend all of this time pulling data out of all of these documents, getting it into spreadsheets, getting it into planning tools, etc. So it was just a very, very clunky process, both for the client as well as the advisor. So it was pretty normal to see like time frames for, hey, from the time when the client says, hey, I want to be your client, to the time when the advisor was able to deliver value,
Sure.
could be 6 weeks, 8 weeks, right? It just took a very long time. And we really wanted to solve this problem. Like, when I was at Elvis, we wanted to solve this problem. we did our own sort of questionnaires and things like that. We didn't find any sort of out of the box solutions that really worked. But then the crux of the problem essentially was, what is different between, say, other financial services, like sort of, banking or lending, maybe lending, but, definitely banking, to wealth management, is that you just need to collect a lot of data. In order to give good advice, you just need to understand the client so deeply, their family so deeply, and all of their financial and like legal situation really, really well. And that just requires a ton of information. And that usually means gathering a whole bunch of documents. And gathering all of these documents is fine, but these documents tend, there really was not good technology, say 3, 4, 5 years ago, to pull information from all of these documents in any kind of systematic way. Some there were some vendors which could do tax returns, or just like, the top 5 sort of investment statements or bank statements, but really nothing pretty general purpose. And really, after I left Elvest, the reason I started Elvest with Nick, my co-founder, who I worked with at Elvest, the reason I started this was, hey, we can now solve this problem. We now have this sort of technology with multimodal AI models that allows us to actually make a dent on this problem, make that process. And I look at sort of onboarding, call it data gathering. It's really that early phase of the relationship. Think of it as, if you think about an advisory relationship, any advisory relationship, right? Not just financial advisors, but also like, CPAs or lawyers or, consultants or whatever. You can think of what an advisor does sort of 3 things, right? You diagnose a problem for your client, you prescribe some solutions, and then you implement it, right? So different people could be doing different parts of this, but it's really those diagnosis, prescription, and implementation are sort of the 3 things that happen iteratively. And really where we are playing and where we want to play is the diagnosis phase, right? The early part of the client experience, but also on an ongoing basis, whether you're doing annual reviews, etc. We want to be the provider of choice for financial advisors and or anybody who delivers advice, financial advice to clients. It could be CPAs, PFS, or providing those types of stuff. But more broadly, looking at financial advisory, and we want to be the provider that helps you get to a diagnosis, get to an understanding of your client really quickly. Like from the moment the client wants to work with you or is expressing an interest in working with you, to the point where you can start delivering value, you can start delivering a diagnosis. We want to be your software provider for choice to enable all of that process.
Right. Nice. No, it's great. So that's kind of why you picked the category. It was a pain point in a couple of previous companies. And I thought it was really interesting. You said some of the highest net worth clients have the worst user experiences because partially, I think they're at the larger custodians that are innovating slower. Um, would you
I
agree with
think,
that?
I
Or
think, yeah, I think custodians, yeah, yes. I mean, you look at some of the largest custodians, their retail products that they do direct to consumer tends to have much better user experience than their advisor facing tools. Like, every advisor I speak to tells me that. It's like, sometimes I have my clients go to, pick a custodian, their sort of retail version of the product, as opposed to using the whatever the advisor version of the product is. So yes, there is a little bit of that, but it's not just restricted to the custodian. I think it will be we have moved in financial advisory. We have sort of moved from investment management and investment advice being the only thing to being much more of a holistic financial mentor, financial coach, financial partner. And that's for the better. But that's also a business model change, right? Like, in order to, the investment management has just become a commodity. So we must be thinking about onboarding to mirror that shift as well. It's not anymore just opening the investment account. It is everything, right? It is, what we call the financial planning process now, but it's really like, understanding a client's holistic picture, is what I would call that initial onboarding or data gathering life cycle.
yeah, no, that makes sense for sure because you're gathering data for all the other planning tools as well, which is important.
Yeah.
Um, All right. I think that covers why the category. Would you like to jump into a demo?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to, show a little bit of a deck, which sort of frames some of the things I said. So I may just cruise over it a little bit, but also, what I see in the market when I speak to a lot of advisors. And then I'll show a little bit of the product. So excited
Good.
for it. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is what we do. As we've been talking about, is we founded the company. We got started early last year. Most of last year was sort of R&D, figuring out to get the technology to work. And this year we've been in market. We're finding good traction with a number of financial advisory firms. And what we really help them with is that early process, right? Gathering data. Mostly for onboarding a client, but also beyond that. Your annual reviews, your surge meetings, etc. We definitely help advisors with those as well. And similar to sort of my experience, as I started this firm and like talked to a lot of advisors, it's really I hear sort of two big things. One is, hey, like my clients come in, they use all these great products like Robinhood and Chime and Cash App and or even Bank of America, right? And those things just work, right? They're able to come in, they put a few pieces of information, and it's super streamlined. They have an account, they can move money, like all of this stuff. Why can't I have something like that for my firm? Is one area. Like, why can't my clients, when they come work with me, why do they go backwards? And they ask, clients are asking them too. It's like, many of the advisors are now working with, millennials and some of them with Gen Z clients, and even older clients too have gotten pretty tech savvy. And they're like, hey, why can't we have something better? The second thing is obviously efficiency. It's like the amount of time it takes to transcribe information from documents to get it into different places is just a lot. And in this particular moment over the last year and a half, we all know about meeting assistants and meeting note takers that just really took the industry by storm, and have grown really quite rapidly. So advisors have implemented, either they use Claude, ChatGPT, et cetera, directly, and then they use meeting note takers, find that it can deliver so much value, and they look around and be like, hey, what's my next big place where I'm doing so much grunt work? It's the onboarding, it's the data gathering. Like that's where I'm doing all of this like low value work. My team is doing low value work. And we see that sort of being shown in the surveys as well. The latest Success survey had, the question that they asked was like, what is the function that you want? Like, where do you want AI to play? And the biggest place that advisors want is sort of in gathering the data and analyzing the documents. But as I was saying, until even a few years ago, you didn't really have a choice, right? You had to get all this information to put together a financial plan to give them good advice. So you needed to have a questionnaire. You needed to have, get all their documents, and then you needed to go do this stuff manually. But just in the last couple of years, and really, even really beginning this year, the AI models, it's really this huge tailwind for this industry just in general, from an efficiency and a customer experience standpoint. Is these AI models have gotten so good, their reasoning capabilities have gotten so good that we are now able to leverage this to make the client experience super delightful, very easy, as well as automating the back office grunt work of this data gathering quite significantly for advisors. And the way we do it is, we start with a document first approach. What that means is most of the information you're looking to collect, most white glove advisors already are doing this, right? They collect the documents and then they have teams or themselves like go in and pull the information out of these documents. But some people still do have questionnaires. But we start with a document like, hey, come in, upload all of your documents. We pull information from these documents, and we will, if you have any kind of intake forms, we'll automatically populate it. And then we'll generate all of this sort of, the diagnostic part of it, right? So we'll generate a full client financial profile, which has all of the different areas of their financial life, which I'll show you a little bit of. And then we can also dive deeper, right? We can pull all the investment holdings from their investment statements. We can pull, we can do a quick profile of their taxes, a tax waterfall. And then obviously, advisors today use so many different systems. And we have direct integrations with Wealthbox. We have a direct integration with PreciseFP. And then the other thing that I'll show you today is we have a browser extension we call the Flextract Assistant that essentially brings up all of this information that we have pulled from all of these documents. The big problem with data entry is not the entering of the data. It is looking at all of these different things to pull all the data. So we get all of the data in for you. That makes it easy for you to both refer to that data as well as get the data into any other systems. So that's sort of sets the stage. Joe, do you have any questions for me, or do you want me to jump into the demo?
No, that's great. I love the browser extension feature. The ability to gather all the data, analyze it with AI, parse it all out, and then carry that data around with you to your other logins is pretty cool. Because
cool.
It'll be a long time before advisors don't have a whole bunch of logins.
Yeah, that's right. It is. The number of tools on the KidSys map is growing faster than you can build integrations for them. So it's definitely an area we are looking to innovate on. Awesome. So let me jump into the demo. As I mentioned, our product basically has two sides to it. One is a client-facing portal, and when I say portal, it is important to sort of take it lightly, right? It's not the one thing that we are taught through here, and the Smart Wealth is basically our demo organization. So the client-facing experience is fully white labelable, and it's not just throwing up a logo, as you can see here. It's logo, it's colors, it's fonts. So you can basically customize all of those pieces, and we'll be providing more. The idea is that, as well as the URL, right? So it'll basically have your firm's name on the link. So the idea is that you want to be able to take this single link and put it up on your website, put it in your CRM drip, put it as an email signature. So this is something that all of these things are things that advisory work would do, which is so you basically have a single link that you can give to all clients. That is actually quite valuable. If you look at a lot of some of the other systems that are out there, when it comes to forms and things like that, sometimes you need to set up a separate new folder or whatever before you can actually invite clients to get you data. And each of those things puts friction. Let's say you're giving a seminar or a webinar, and you want to have people come in and upload, a few pieces of information. You can just, send them directly to your website, and they can come in and start doing things. And the reason why they're able to do that is we route everything through your phone number. People come in, clients, prospects come in, put in their phone number, and get a one-time password. So this is built-in sort of two-factor authentication. And once they verify themselves, they come to this thing called a document checklist. All advisors kind of know where you usually send, like, it's a PDF document, is an email with a document checklist for your onboarding, which is like, hey, give me all of these documents. And we basically bring that in context right here for the client to see. And the nice part that we do is the client does not have to go through and hunt and peck and say, hey, I'm going to upload my tax return over here in this particular field. I'm going to upload this bank statement in this particular field. No, or what they do is they come in and throw in all of their documents. Typically, clients tend to keep these in some kind of folder, right? It's either on their computer or in some cloud storage. And they can drag and drop 10 documents at a time. So we see folders with 30, 40 documents where, the clients just drag and drop these documents. And in the 2 minutes, in the 20 seconds that we're talking, we've actually figured out that document is a bank statement. That document is this is a brokerage statement. This is tax forms over here and driver's licenses and things like that. So what this lets clients do is be done with this process, this homework that they need to do very, very quickly. And once they upload the document, for many advisors, this is it, right? They just take the documents and then run with it. But if you also have questionnaires that you need to get filled out, we actually automatically pre-populate the questionnaires with information from the documents. So, we've already parsed the document, we pull information and we populate this in here. and they can review this and submit these forms to the advisor. So essentially, all of the documents that got uploaded show up here on an advisor portal. So this is something the advisor logs into with their email address and password. And all of the documents that were uploaded by the client show up in the folder. So our system is organized by folders, and in every folder, you can essentially have, we map the phone number to the folder. A nice part about it here is you can have multiple people's phone numbers here. So this is a great use case for two spouses, two partners, want to upload documents. You want to do financial planning for both of them. Both of them can upload documents, and both of their documents will come into the same folder, and we map it back using their phone number. And as soon as the documents are uploaded, we have auto-organized these documents. We tell you what type of document it is, obviously when it was uploaded, and we have integrations with Google Drive, Box, Egnyte, and Dropbox. And so if you're using those systems for storage, we'll automatically push our documents into those as well. So you can go in and look at a summary of these documents in here, but the cool parts really come in. You can look at the checklist. What documents have been provided, what has not been provided. So you see here there are some documents that are not provided, so the advisor can follow up with the client. And this is where the diagnosis part of it comes in, right? So once we have all of these documents and we're able to pull all this information from all of these documents, we can now go ahead and build a whole bunch of reports. So out of the box, we support a dozen or so reports, all the way from a client financial profile to a net worth statement to a deep dive into investment holdings and so forth. And you can go in and generate these reports. And what these reports do is it gives you insights into various facets of the client household's life. So a common one, the broadest one that most of our advisors use is the client financial profile report. So this gives a broad view of everything that the client has. So all the way from, hey, who are all the family members in here, to what are their assets. So here we're looking at every bank statement, every investment statement. Even if it has multiple accounts, we're pulling every single account. We're pulling the title information on how the account is titled, the account numbers, the balances of the accounts, or the asset value, right? Or we even are able to process stuff that you put in through a note. So you can go in here, drop in a note. Maybe it's a meeting note that you've taken. You drop in a note, and we can actually pull information from those notes and pop it in here. So this card information or this home value information is stuff that you can put in. We can directly extract from the meeting notes. Same goes for liabilities. We'll pull any information that's in those statements. And remember that you are not doing anything, right? So you have not actually gone in. We are just pulling this stuff off of all the documents that are in the folder. And we smartly reconcile, if there are two different investment statements for different periods, we'll pull it from the latest statement, and so on and so forth. So it's not duplicative. So we'll pull information about your income. We'll synthesize stuff from your pay stub as well as your W-2, and get salary information annualized. We'll also pull information from your pay stubs on contributions that are going to your savings, whether it's a 401k contribution, HSA contribution, etc. This is a very quick summary of taxes, and then insurance and estate documents. So we can read, life insurance policies, property casualty insurance, any type of insurance policies, and we'll pull critical top-level information from those. What are the premiums? What is the coverage? What are the additional coverages from the riders, etc. So what this does is this gives you a broad view of where the client stands really, really quickly. Like you didn't have to copy things into a spreadsheet in order to come up with this. It's all there, but you can export it into a spreadsheet. So advisors still use spreadsheets, and these many of our reports can be exported
right?
into. Some don't actually, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, a spreadsheet's a great tool. We have no hate for spreadsheets. They're very powerful, and when you need that power, you go into the spreadsheet. So we can export this into Excel, and all of this information is in different tabs. As I was saying, we do have investment holdings reports, which essentially pulls information from all of the investment statements, classified by individual accounts, as well as a full portfolio summary of from across all of the statements. Again, this can be exported into Excel. Here, it's particularly useful because then you can take this, make it into a CSV, and load it up into your Morningstar or your Quanti or any of your other tools that you use for portfolio analysis. So this is a very, very quick way of doing that. We have a tax waterfall report, which allows you to look at a very quick visual summary of how your taxes are built up. What are the components of your income? What are your deductions above the line, below the line? What are your different how your money is taxed in different tax brackets, and then how is the tax computed? We can also go deeper into your tax return. So breaking down the various components of income here. That includes not just your earned income and your business income, not just from the 1040, but also from your Schedule C and Schedule E and Schedule B. So we pull all of that. Schedule B investment information, interest and dividend income, as well as S corp and partnership information as well. We can do an analysis of your pay statements. So you upload a pay stub, and we'll pull information from the pay stub on, hey, this is your paycheck today. This is what you've got YTD. What does that look like to the end of the year? This is super helpful for things like, hey, am I doing my estimated taxes properly? Do I need to change my W-4 in any way? My withholdings. So this tends to be super useful for that. So that is sort of the reporting capabilities of the software, and we are constantly adding new reports, and we have the ability to build custom reports for you. So one of the things that we see is advisors have especially when you're working with a particular niche of clients, whether it is physicians or pensioners in a particular state. So we can actually build those custom reports as long as those documents have that information. We'll be able to build out a report like this for you that is custom to you with the information that you're looking for. So we've built stuff like this for pension, for example, a particular state's pension. We'll basically do and project out what the pension looks like, how much they'll be earning in retirement. So that pensions tend to be very different state to state, and the public employer to public employer. So we're able to do things like that. So those are the capabilities that we can build on top of the data. But we also have the ability to take the data that is in here and send it into all of your downstream systems, right? So we, as I mentioned earlier, we have an integration with Wealthbox as well as PreciseFP. Into Wealthbox, we can actually push information, related to your household as well as the person records in Wealthbox. Essentially, the things that they support. But in all of these integrations, one of the philosophies that we have is you get to choose the pieces of information that you want pushed in. It is not an all or nothing push. So it's essentially, we'll give you a list of all the pieces of data in here. This typically takes, several seconds for it because we're parsing out the documents and getting all this information. So this is places where we have direct integration, and our integration with PreciseFP gets about 400 different pieces of data points into PreciseFP across assets and liabilities and everything else. So you see here, we'll pull any information that's already there in Wealthbox, get the data out, as well as tell you what data is available to get pushed, as well as where this information came from. And obviously these are not the only two systems that are out there that advisors use. And so one of the things that that Joe, you mentioned earlier, was the ability to have this browser extension, a sidecar, if you may, that essentially brings in your all of the data that we pulled out across any website. So I'm pulling up RightCapital over here, just logging into a client record, and see how easy it is. Even if you had to do the data entry, how easy it is to do the get the information into RightCapital. So let's pull up the same client. So the sidecar, the assistant essentially has you log in with the same credentials as Flextract. You go in here, pull up the client financial profile. And right here, you will see all of those different components, right, that you saw in the client financial profile. family information, assets, liabilities, everything. So all you have to do now is go through and punch through this list. So I'll open this, Roth IRA or this individual account. I pop it in here. I take the value, I put it in here. So this is something that you would have had to ruffle through ruffle through all of the statements, figure out, did I get all of the accounts in there? But instead, you can just go through, every single account that we've already pulled for you, and then go ahead and input the data very, very quickly
That's amazing.
into
I love this.
into RightCapital. Yeah. Um, so those are the capabilities that we have. It's a pretty robust system, especially when you look at the checklist, automated checklist capability, all the way to integrating with this sidecar assistant. It's built with your ergonomics in mind. Specifically built for financial advisors, and I hope you all enjoy using it.
All right, I'm just checking if there's any questions. Yeah, next couple things. Do you want to go over any roadmap features you're willing to share, or pricing details, and then we'll get into like the landscape as a whole.
Yeah, a few big. So we think about the constituencies of the product. Along those three part of segments that I showed you. Right, there is the client-facing experience, which is super important. Constantly pushing to improve that is very, very important. And it's not, and the way when we think about client experience, we saw these automated checklists that automatically match these documents. We have like a whole bunch of ideas on how this can be improved even more, because we have all of the information from the documents themselves. This checklist is going to get really much more sophisticated, not just at the level of, hey, is this a bank statement, but is it a Bank of America statement that you said you had on your tax return? And is it the latest one from, October of 2025? So we can get to that level of detail, and you'll see that it just makes the process for the clients just super seamless, super straightforward. So on the client experience, that's one, improving, enhancing the checklist significantly. And also we have some other ideas on helping the clients actually go source all of these information, right? Obviously here we are saying, hey, take your sort of shoebox or a digital shoebox and drag your documents in. But what if you need the latest document, for tax prep or whatever? We'll also help you get the data. So we have some ideas there that we're working on that we're super excited about. So that's on the client experience. On the advisor facing experience, deeper reports on more topics. As I speak to folks, on estate planning, our stuff is pretty light. We show you just very high level information. We're working on some stuff to go deeper on there. On tax also, to go a little bit deeper, to surface more opportunities for advisors to talk to their clients and prospective clients about. So that's another big area. Just the ability to identify, diagnose more planning topics is sort of the theme there. And then integrations, right? We're definitely thinking about Salesforce is obviously a big player we want to integrate with. There is financial planning software that we want to have direct integrations with. And so we're working through the details on some of those. But more importantly, like as I was saying, integrations is an interesting thing. It sort of lives with everybody. If you've done any kind of work in the financial technology, wealth tech space, it's like there's just so many systems you need to integrate with. So doing some more fundamental innovation around that, obviously the sidecar is a thing that we've built out, which nobody else has. But so we want to push that forward, make it more automated, make it so that bringing these relationships is not like a huge bottleneck when it comes to integrations. Is something that we are thinking hard about as well. So lots of interesting ideas, lots of stuff that we're working on, and we're super excited.
No, that sounds great. Yeah. Do you want to go over pricing, and then maybe if you have a couple customer success stories? Someone that started using it has seen a cool result with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Our pricing is quite reasonable. If you think about the value that you get, both from a compression of the time for the data gathering process itself, as well as the amount of time that you would spend doing data entry. It just it takes a long time, and so given that value, really, like we're priced on an annual basis. So the price for solo advisors and startup firms is like $100 a month, and then it steps up from there to 200 and 1,000 and so forth. But really, we've priced it at a firm level because you have both the component that you can put on your website, as well as we want multiple people at your firm using this product. So it's so we have these bundles which are based on the size of the firm. We think that it's very reasonable pricing for the value you'll be getting, and so excited to have that.
Yeah. No, I don't know if we've talked about the per user pricing, but sometimes firms will not give access to people that actually really need access because the pricing issue.
Exactly. Yeah. And we looked at that, and you're like, uh, it is best if the advisors use it, the planners use it, the client service folks use it, the ops folks use it. And depending on the size of the firm, that could all be the same person. That could be multiple people. But we our software delivers value to all of those constituencies, and we want everybody to use it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. From a six. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just didn't know if I needed to prompt you if you're ready to go.
Yeah. So from a success standpoint, yeah. So one of the coolest places that where we've been working with a firm, they do. I didn't get their permission to use their name on this podcast, so I will not. They. The advisor there, the owner of the firm, he's really cool. He's got a huge following on YouTube, and that's how they bring in clients. He's just got this unique voice. He brings on a lot of sort of retirees, near retirees, onto the firm, and they were really looking for something that was super streamlined, that utilizes both our document checklist capabilities for the client, that streamlined onboarding experience. They were coming from sort of using cobbled together sort of form software, like jot form types of stuff. And then, when you need to go upload, you need to go to a different place. And then once you upload the document, you can't go back and upload documents. So it was like, it tends to be a clunky experience. So they're working with us. They use our forms capability. They use our upload capability. And like we have really streamlined the client experience for them. And they're going deeper in with us. We've built some custom reports for them, so that the data flows seamlessly into their planning process as well. So we're super excited about how they're leveraging the product. One of the cool things that we see is, speaking of sort of the business models and the evolution over there are now lots of advisors who do, just advice, right? So there are advice-only advisors, even those who do asset management. Just a pure play planning piece is such a big part of the business, that for those types of advisors, this is such a great platform because, if you think about, if you're doing asset management, you're doing the investment management, yeah, you're moving their ACATsing their assets over, and then you get direct feeds from the brokerage, and then the amount of data gathering, it doesn't ever go away, but it kind of reduces over time. But if you're doing sort of a planning engagement and you're not doing investment management for them, this is just so important because you just need to get all of these documents and all of this data from the clients every single time you're updating their plan. And this just makes it super easy.
Yeah. Do you have you thought about like automating the collection process, like every 3 months or 6 months, saying, "Hey, we need an updated this form and this form"?
Absolutely, yeah. So that the thing I talked to you about, collecting some of the information, automating that piece. So obviously, there's two parts to this. One is sort of notifying the clients. We're working on some stuff in early alpha with some of our advisors, to be like, because with notification comes all the compliance overhead of it. So we just got to be careful about the communication compliance around it. But once we have figured it out, yeah, absolutely, sending notifications on a regular, semi-regular basis, but also helping clients do more automation on that front. So that it's a much more streamlined process for the client to deliver these documents as well. And we are not opposed to integrating with account aggregation and things like that as well as part of this mix. So our goal is to get the best quality data with the least amount of heartburn for both clients and advisors, and we'll do anything that helps us to do that.
Yeah, for sure. Did you happen to read the Kitz's article by Sydney Squires on data gathering? Yeah.
Yes, it was a wonderful. It was really great, and I had a chance to catch up with Michael at the Advisor conference last week, and yeah, it was like the gathering of that first mile, if you may, of the data gathering that the client needs to go do. Um, we get a little ways here with all the checklists and capabilities, just reducing the friction. But there is still a sizable amount of work before that we can absolutely help clients with, and we absolutely look to do that.
Yeah. No, I love all the reporting that you've built out, like after the data gathering. Do you have
Yeah.
what are the capabilities like across clients? Like, can you aggregate some of the data across households?
So we're currently not doing those things, and we want to be very across clients. We're still at the point where it is on a per client basis, but it is definitely not lost on us that all of this data is structured data that we can actually provide reports, and you will start seeing some of those things coming out from us in the months to come.
Sweet. Cool. Well, we're coming up on 10 minutes left in the hour. Anything else you wanted to share, or we can go into just a couple other things I wanted to show at the end.
No, would love to take any questions that folks have. Yeah.
All right. While we're waiting for that, I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. I might actually have to have you stop. There we go. See that nice infinity window?
Yeah.
Um, all right. So here's the community just to give people a look around in the classroom. I have these, well, they're like courses, but basically the data gathering category where I have the different tools you can come into. You can find out more information about Flextract. You can contact Rajesh. You can look at some of the screenshots. I'll probably have the recording here. I'll also post the recording here, so that will be live in a few hours, most likely. I did want to go over some of the upcoming calls we've got on the calendar. Tomorrow, we've got the future of CRM with James Cantwell, Dustin Delliston of Current Client, and Thomas Clausen of Slant. That should be a super fun conversation. Later on, you have a call with Jack Senge of Vitals AI. And then going into December, we've got one with Credora, which is a financial planning tool, and then WealthReach, which is a prospecting tool. So love to have you join live on all these as well. In the community, just some cool things to check out. Real tech stacks. So here you can look through some actual tech stacks that advisors are using, what their AUM is, some other details on the firm. Also starting to track news, rocket ships, just fun stuff that I see around the industry and that I'm compiling here. All right, let me stop sharing. Cool. I think that's all I had. Thanks for coming, Rajesh. This has been fun. We got through the early troubles of figuring this platform out, but hopefully it works going forward.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and yeah, congratulations on launching the podcast. It's a great platform. Love it, love it.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, we'll wrap just a bit early today. Thanks for coming, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye bye.